It's finally Friday again. Let's do some form checks. Hey guys, welcome back to another Form Check Friday. I'm Paul. Clint is behind me on the floor. Thank you all for participating this week and throwing up your videos. I'm excited to take a look. Friday is always my favorite day. Couple announcements and a little bit of a training update. This is something I'm doing every week now. It's been pretty uneventful for the past couple weeks because of a shoulder injury. Last night I managed to get into the gym, excuse me, and bench press normally and with very little pain. My shoulder feels fine today. It's crunching a lot less, so promising. The other thing I wanted to mention is I realize I need to put up more YouTube content. So I've written the book, I've written Radically Simple Muscle, did all the video content, and now I need to do a better job promoting it. So YouTube is my preferred platform. It just seems to get better traction. I'm really tired of Instagram or haven't really figured out how to use it well. Twitter is a disaster now. I don't know what the hell Elon did, but it just sucks. And Facebook, who uses Facebook anymore? So YouTube is, I think, the channel I'm going to go big on, and I'm going to try and commit to a second video every week. So I'm thinking about doing very short form content, maybe 5-10 minute video, and just breaking down different ideas about training, nutrition, life, stuff like that. So we're going to try it out. I'm publicly announcing it to you guys so that I'm on the hook. And I'm hoping to have my first video up sometime early next week. So we'll do one on like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we'll do Form Check Friday on Friday. It'll be 2 videos a week, and we'll see if that gains some traction. The first video I'm going to do next week is on my newer training program. So as you guys know, I'm always trying to stay a couple steps ahead of you so I know what you're gonna need when you move through the programs I've already written about. And I have come up with a different program, and I'm not trying to overload you guys with just program after program. You guys should stick with whatever you're doing till it stops working. But I am sort of bored with training right now, and I'm finding it really hard to be in the gym even for an hour. It's bugging me and I'm losing motivation. So one of my online clients gave me the inspiration. He was really busy and just struggling to get his workouts in. So we cut everything down to one lift. So all he has to do is go in and do one lift, and it's like 2 sets. And if he wants to do a second lift, there's an option for a second lift if he's feeling motivated. If not, it's just like get in there, do that one lift, and then you can call the day a win. So I took that and thought maybe that's what I need right now, is something that can get me out in like 45 minutes and not, and allow me to take my time, do a set, rest, so I'm not rushing. So I sort of took the Radically Simple Muscle program that I really like and that I've been doing for the last 2 years or so, and just hacked it even more. So it's like, that you'll see a lot of similarities to it, and it's just like, it's quick. I'm out of there in 45 minutes. I've been timing my workouts, and it's 2 sets of everything, just like the most essential exercises that I think have the most benefit. So obviously squats and deadlifts, benches and presses, and then the assistance exercises that I think are most worthwhile: LTEs, dips, lateral raises. I threw in ab work on my squat and deadlift day like I have in Radically Simple Muscle. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, but it's in there. So if I'm feeling a little bit of energy, I'll tackle those. I did them last night, did some knee raises last night after squatting and deadlifting. Had a great deadlift workout, by the way, so that's good. I'm climbing back up to pre-back tweak weights. So I'm going to do a little YouTube video explaining it. I'm going to put the template up for free. I'm not charging you guys for this at all. You guys have been super supportive of everything I've put out. And so I'm not going to write a full ebook on it, but I will go over the program, kind of break it down, and just upload the video. And then there'll be a link to download it in the description. So stay tuned for that next week. I'm on the hook now. I've told you about it, so I have to do it. Other news, let's see, what else? Oh, I had some t-shirts made just for fun. I love t-shirts. It's always good when you find like a nice fitting t-shirt. So I had some Radically Simple Strength t-shirts printed up, and I'm waiting to get it back from the printer, but I did a mock-up for the site with this like cool tattooed guy who, you know, I don't know, he kind of lifts. Anyway, it says Radically Simple Strength, and then on the back, it's got the all pump, no fluff tagline that I've been using a lot. Obviously, that's a different dude, but he was more jacked, so I went I went with this guy for the back. You don't get cool tattoos if you order the t-shirt. Those are on you. But yeah, so those will be, it's in the blue that I've been using for my website. I don't know. I just thought it'd be cool to have some t-shirts. So I'm going to have those probably in a couple weeks, and I'll have them on the site. If you guys want to pick one up, that would be cool. And let's see, what else do I have for you guys? All right, let's get rid of these handsome men. And then the last thing I want to be on the hook for you to, or accountable to you guys for, this is all from my own motivation to get this done. I asked you guys what you wanted from me. I wrote the books. I've done a lot of video content, but I've been struggling to figure out what to do next. And so I put up a question on the Reddit board, and then I've been paying attention to a lot of the questions you guys are asking me. A lot of it is about nutrition. So I've decided that my next project is going to be a course dedicated to nutrition. So it's going to be all video with some PDF documents, recipes, instructions, things like that. But I'm going to I need to learn how to make a course. And so this is a good opportunity to do that. So it's going to be all dedicated to nutrition. Obviously, the nutrition plan in Radically Simple Strength is still good. But as things evolve, I've experimented with some different recipes. I've gotten tired of some things like I know you guys have. So I've been playing around and trying to tweak the recipes, and then even, you know, simplify the process even more. I was supposed to do a cut this leading up to the summer, completely blew it. I think I got fatter. And so I was trying to think about why it didn't work. Why wasn't I sticking to the plan, and then reverse engineer things that I could do to make it more sustainable and sort of put my diet on autopilot. So that's my next undertaking. It's going to take me a while to get it. I've got a lot of the recipes. I'm still tweaking some of them. I'm trying to give you guys some options, but I think it's going to be really cool. So that'll be a video course that I'm going to dig into and really start cranking on probably starting next week. And I'll keep you guys updated on that. And hopefully it's something that helps you out. Nutrition is really the thing where a lot of guys get stuck. The training is like 1 hour a day that you got to think about it. The food is like, 24/7. So the more we can simplify that, the better off I'm going to be, and the better off you're going to be. I'm really trying to solve my own problem here and streamline this process for me. So that's my update for you guys. Let's get into your form checks and see what we're dealing with this week. As you guys know, I have not seen any of these videos. So we will all learn together. All right. Ready the harpoon. Okay. So one day I'm going to ask you guys where these screen names come from, because some of them are ridiculous. All right. Hey, Paul, 6 feet, 255 pounds, 36 years old. I'm running the intermediate B template from Radically Simple Strength over a 3-day week. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, which is my preferred way to do it. Gives you a lot of rest. And right now, body weight is steady at 255. Here's my last set of 405 by 5, or 450 by 5. Good Lord. All right. I feel like I've lost the groove somehow. The movement feels awkward and my low back is sore for the rest of the day. How's my squat looking? Deadlifts don't bother my back at all. Okay. My guess, having not looked at your lift at all, is that you are getting stuck halfway up and you're stopping the hip drive, and you're starting, and your back is going into flexion under load. So as you get stuck and try and grind to the top, you're going to see a slight unlocking of your back. I could be totally wrong. That's usually what smokes your low back from the squat. So let's take a look at 450. This is exciting. All right, let me ditch the volume here. And oh, where's my little killer thing? I got a little thing that cleans up the sidebar, so we don't have to look at all the recommendations for the stupid stuff I watch. Okay, wait, I gotta go back. All right, here we go. Let's I want to see everything on this one. Okay. Grip looks good, bars in the right place, head position is down, stance looks good from what I can tell. Shorts are small, always a plus. All right, let's see this. Oh, set. Beautiful. Very nice squat. Good hip drive. Let's see the knees. Very tight. Knees are caving a little bit, but you know, you're doing 450, so. Okay. Little head position tweak on that one, I think. I'm gonna have to go back and look at number 4. Okay. I mean, first impression here, this is a solid ass set 450 by 5, which is impressive. You're doing a lot of, I mean, you're doing everything right. There's not any glaring errors I see. I do want to watch your knees tracking a little bit, although that's not going to have much to do with your back angle or your back hurting. I just want to make sure that you're setting them early enough. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna look. We're paying attention to number 4 here. They're caving in. Your knees are moving in a little bit. It's gonna happen. You know, obviously keep them out if you can. I always tell. Good hip drive there. Let's see this last one. Then I'll tell you the cue I was gonna mention. I mean, that's okay. So let me see what we're looking at. Number 4. Well, the cue, before I forget, the cue I mentioned for guys whose knees cave in, and that's a tough one to fix, is when you start thinking about driving your butt up, also think about pushing your knees out. So don't just think about up, think about ass up, knees out, so that you're repositioning the knees in case they moved in a little bit. And again, if you're looking down, which I think you are the whole time, let me see if your head moves. You can kind of see the knees move in a little bit. And then you can develop that mental connection between your knees. So you, out of your peripheral vision, you'll see your knees kind of move in, and you can remind yourself to push them back out. You're gonna have to practice that on the light sets. A lot of people take their light sets, they don't take them seriously enough. You don't want to practice wrong. They just kind of rush through their warm-ups, and things get, and they don't use the warm-ups as a chance to practice technique. So you end up embedding these sloppy movement patterns. Whereas if you think about your warm-ups as practice reps, if you practice perfectly, then you will have a better chance at those sort of neural pathways and those movement patterns that you're trying to embed carrying over into your heavy lift. So take your warm-up set seriously, because it's a really good time to practice things like shoving your knees back out as you drive your butt up when the weights aren't that heavy, that you're also thinking about like, holy shit, am I going to die? So your head position's really good. You're not lifting much. I'm not going to have a lot for you here. I mean, you're doing everything right. The knees, like I said, the only glaring issue is the knees. My guess is a very, and it can be subtle, is that unlocking of the back. It's this sticking point that you have to drive through. Let me see if you do this on the lighter reps, because you can see you kind of come up, you drive your butt, and then that one, and then you start to lift your chest. On the heavier, on the ones where you're tired, you kind of lift and then go back to your hips. It's not on that one. I think it's on this last, if this is the last one, let's see. Up and then, yeah, there's a little, I mean, it's minor. So aside from the knees moving in, you know, I don't see anything that tells me your back should be fried. I'm assuming you're just grinding on heavy weights now. But my guess is still that you're getting this very subtle, I mean, it's very subtle in your case, unlocking, softening of the back on the way up. So as you hit that sticking point in the last 2 reps, you know, you're coming up and you get right about there. When you start to push and those lumbar and those spinal erectors start to round under load, it can just smoke them. There's something about pushing, having that flexion under heavy weight where they're just fried. And sometimes you don't feel it or even notice it. And then you go to deadlift and like you can't even pull your last warm up because you just smoked them. So, you know, their back here is a little softer than it was at the beginning, but man, it's not bad at all. So I guess my advice to you would be just know that that's an error that you make or that can happen. And when you hit rep 4, think, okay, this is the rep where I start to loosen up my back a little bit, and try as you drive up and you push your knees out to keep your focus on keeping that rigid back extension. Like almost like you're coming up out of the bottom and you're trying to set your back for a deadlift. Okay, so as you drive up, you know, as you hit the bottom, that's where you want to get that sort of, you want to make sure that your chest is up and you've got that arch in your back. And then as you continue driving, don't stop thinking about that arch. Don't, and I'm, you know, this is easier said than done. You got 450 on your back. You just did 4 reps. You're doing your last one. You're like, I just want to get this over with. But the more that you can focus on right during that sticking point, not letting that soften at all, the better you're going to be in terms of maintaining that rigid back segment, and you'll be less likely to smoke those spinal erectors. Other than that, you know, that's my only guess as to why you're having back pain. 450 by 5, you're on intermediate B. So, you know, I guess my question is, are you feeling it on your light days? Because you have a light day squat in that program. Are you feeling it on your light days? You said it's not bothering you on your deadlift. Is it affecting, well, I guess as long as your deadlifts are still progressing, then, and that's the cool thing about that program is there's a lot of rest between deadlifts. One thing you can try is to experiment with a week where you cut the volume on with those heavy squats. So, you know, in Radically Simple Muscle, the newer ebook I wrote, I tell myself and whoever's, you know, that you have the option if you hit 5 reps on your top set to skip the back off. Now, if what you're doing is working, don't screw with it. But if you want to try if your back is feeling generally pissed off and beat up, you can try a week where you reduce the total volume of heavy squatting. And that can be either skipping the back offset, or it can be cutting the light day volume. So instead of doing 3 sets of 5 at 85% of what you did on the heavy day, you could do 1 set of 5 or even 2 sets of 5 and just see if that gives your back a little bit more rest. You can also, you know, the deadlift does tax the spinal erectors, whether or not you're feeling it. So you can also try and just do like a low volume week where you do, you know, your heavy set of squats and then maybe like skip the back off, and then for the deadlifts, just do like 1 back off set of deadlifts or 1 light day set of deadlifts. And that can be 85%. Sometimes if I'm going to cut the volume, I'll bump it to 90% and just do 1 set of 5. And then on the deadlift day, you pull your deadlift. And then for squats, just do like 1 or 2 sets of light squats and see how you feel the following week. If that reduction of volume reduced the lower back fatigue. And then you'll know how to address that in the future. So that's my advice. You know, keep the back tight, play around with cutting the volume for a week and see how it feels the next week. Other than that, man, you're doing great. And I would love to see some of your other lifts. I want to see your deadlift for sure. And, you know, so throw up another video next week. And if not, let me know, you know, if any of these cues helped, because it helps me address problems like this in the future, makes me a better coach. So thank you very much for posting this. Really enjoyed watching it. And congratulations, man. 450 by 5. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to move on. The doctor. I hope you're really a doctor. That would be, I don't know. Okay. Feedback from last week. The chest was to keep my chest puffed out throughout the rep. I'm struggling with doing that. I like how this is an itemized list. I'm struggling with doing that and leaning over right away and staying leaned over when I focused on keeping my chest puffed up. Would love to hear your advice. Okay, so you're like, hey, you told me to keep my chest puffed up and lean over right away and stay leaned over longer, and I'm having a hard time with that. All right. Well, let's see if you made any progress here, man. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got. All right, you're still lifting your chest too soon. However, you did lean over faster. All right, now look, we've talked about this before. So out of the bottom, the first thing that happens is this comes up first, okay? Watch here, watch this. You're gonna see this angle right here become this angle right away. Unless you fix it on this next one. But you're gonna lift your chest as soon as you start driving up. Boom, see your head go back and your chest lifts up. So that's not what I'm talking about. Head goes back, chest goes up. There's no hip drive on these. Okay, so that, look, the rest of it is good. You are leaning over faster. And your depth, you're still going too deep, but don't worry about that right now. Because like when the weight creeps up, you'll start cutting that off a little higher. But watch your arms and your head. It's just this right out of the bottom. Head goes up, and this is like I should see your butt bounce. But I'm just seeing your chest lift up. So this is your homework, okay? Now let's go back to our last guy because this is a good example. And watch his butt out of the bottom, okay? So when he goes down, watch his ass. See how his butt moves first? See how, if we're looking here, right? This is gonna move up before this, right? He's not lifting his chest back and kicking his head back. He's keeping this position right here, and he's pushing his butt up. That's hip drive. That's where the power is, okay? Watch his butt. Boom. And he's got 450 on his back. Okay, I'm saving this video. Just butt first. His back angle changes a little bit more horizontally. Your back angle immediately becomes more vertical. You see the difference? Watch you. Watch your butt. Just look at your butt. Nothing. All that's happening is you're lifting your chest. Okay, so all you've got, this is what we're gonna fix. This is your homework for next week, okay? Shove your ass up. Think about pushing your butt up so hard that your back angle becomes horizontal. Okay, so by the time you get to this point in the squat right here, I want you to imagine that this back angle looks like this. You're just like that. You're gonna have to overdo this. You're gonna have to, because it's gonna feel really wrong to you because you have it embedded in your head that just standing up and opening up your hips right away is what you're supposed to do. And so in order to do the right thing, you have to make it feel wrong. Okay, so if this is your butt, you get down to the bottom, I wanna see this. Drive your butt up. One of the things I do with a lot of guys, and I can't do that with you because we're not close enough for me to touch your butt, is I'll go in behind them and without the bar, I'll have them go down to the bottom and just pause there. And I will put my hands right here and right here under their ass, and I'll just throw it up real hard, okay? There's a picture in Starting Strength where Ripito is standing on a big ladder like this right here, and he's got a chain hooked to the guy's belt, and he's like, to demonstrate what hip drive looks like, it's like he's standing above you with a chain hooked to your waistband and just pulling it up. Okay, this should move first. There should be a change in back angle, more horizontal, that shows me you initiated the drive with your hips. Okay, so that's what I want to see, and I want you to film all of your warm-ups. Okay, and if you're doing pause squats, this is a good time to practice those too. And I want you to watch those after every set. And I want you to look at your butt and see if you're doing hip drive. Okay? And then if you're not doing it with the empty bar, which is kind of hard to do, when you get the first weight on there, make sure you're doing it. If not, do another set and until you see your ass moving up. Okay? And then by the time you get to your heavy set, like, you gotta do the hip drive. That's the only thing I care about next week, is that you are leading out of the bottom ass first. Okay? Just pretend the barbell is here, is sitting. Let's see. The barbell sits across your low back. Okay? The bar's here. If the bar was sitting here and you lifted your chest, the bar would just slide off your back like that. But if the bar's sitting here and you want to get back up, you're gonna have to push this up first. Okay, so you're here, this moves first. That's it. That's all I care about. Don't dump it over your head, but I want you to imagine, and this is what I tell my clients all the time, do so much hip drive that you think then my next comment to you is gonna be like, dude, rein it in a little bit. That is way too much hip drive. Okay? So I want you to overdo it, to exaggerate it to the point that you think I'm going to tell you you did too much. And I bet you that that amount will be correct. Okay? So one homework assignment next week. Ass first. That's it. All right? So if you post a video, one of those reps has to have good hip drive in it. If all of them are lifting your chest, I don't want to see it because you didn't do it. Right? So film all your sets, all of them. And even if it's not the heavy set, show me one where you think you got hip drive right. Okay? And you can post a couple links or whatever, and we'll keep going from there. Everything else is good. You're leaning over more. I mean, you're really dialing this in, so I'm very happy with it. You have one thing to fix. And the thing is, once you feel it, once you feel the hip drive, that when you do a rep and you go, damn, that rep was so much easier than the other ones. I just did, number 3 of 5. It just flew up. That's the one you did hip drive on. Okay? So this is how you're gonna squat heavy weight. You're never gonna lift heavy if you keep lifting your chest like that. So hip drive, okay? I wanna see it. Good luck, thank you, and we're gonna get into this. All right, I'm gonna keep this one open because I'm probably gonna reference it again. All right, doctor, you've got your homework. Let's move on. Max Will. Okay. Hey, Paul, here's my latest squat trying to incorporate last week's feedback, 215 by 5. And here's the set right before it, 195 by 5. 215 started to feel a little heavier. I'm on workout 9 of the first 12 of the novice program. When is the right time to move from 10-pound jumps to 5-pound jumps? Also, I failed 2 reps on my overhead press at 105 on the last set. Took 5 pounds off, went down to 100, and then finished the other 3 remaining reps. Okay? For my next, should I try 105 or go for 100, or should I go for 105 or micro load higher to 102.5? I'll answer that one right now. 102.5. So if you missed reps, that means you should have switched to 2.5-pound jumps a little sooner. It's great if you can kind of predict that, but you're just getting into this, so you have no idea. So typically you're going to do what you did, which is you're going to miss, and then you're going to go back. So go back to 102.5 for 5, and then move up from there. Okay? So from now on your press, 2.5-pound jumps, and think about that for the bench press too. When that final rep gets a little iffy, when rep 5 is questionable, you're not sure if you were gonna get it, just cut it, just get ahead of it and just switch to 2.5 pound jumps. You're going to end up in the same place anyway. And then from then on, you're a 2.5 pound guy on the upper body lifts. 215, well, let's look at your lifts and then I'll try and come back and when is it the right time to move from 5 to 10 pound jumps? Kind of hard to say, or from 10 to 5 pound jumps, but let's see what 215 looks like. Maybe I can help you out. All right. Okay. Let's see if this form got better. So you had the bar too high last week. Much better. Much better. And you're getting deeper. Good, man. Nice work. Oh, hip drive too? Okay, you're getting a little bit on your toes, so you're coming up and forward. That one, you're losing your hip drive here. Better. Okay. So listen, man. Max, I think. Mike? Max? Okay, whatever. Oh, was it like Max Lift? Max Will, whatever. Mike. So good work, man. Compared to what you did last week, or what you showed me with your first video, this is like night and day. So you obviously watched the videos I recommended and you got the bar in the right place. You're going deeper, all good things. So now we can start fine tuning this. So very happy with that. So let me address a couple things here. Hands are great, bar's great, stance looks good. Now, notice how you walk that out and you just kind of start squatting right away. Step, and then you just go. Okay, so your knees are soft the whole time. So see how your knees are bent, and then you go from there into squatting. So I want you to get rid of that right away, because every rep, and this is something you need to learn for all the exercises, is that every rep you have to lock out the start position. So, and it's a little bit different story in the press because you start from down here, and the deadlift because the bar starts on the floor. But with the squat and bench in particular, you want those joints locked, okay? So, because if your knees are locked or if your elbows are locked at the top of a bench press, then you're saving energy. You're not taxing your muscles by, making them hold all that weight with unlocked joints. If you just lock those joints, then they get to rest, which is really, really important later on when you're, doing a set of 450 and you get to rep number 4 and you're like, Jesus, I don't know if I've got this next one. If you stand there with 450 on your back with soft knees, there's no way you're going to get that. But if you lock out, then you can take a couple moments and recompose yourself. So learning to lock out at the top and get comfortable just standing there with a bunch of weight on your back and not panicking is essential for getting through heavy sets. So what I want you to fix from now on is you unrack the bar, and that whole unracking process needs to be like methodical. It's not haphazard. It's not different every time. It's a process. You hold it the same way. You take your breath, you get under it, you get tight, you stand straight up. You take one foot back, you take the next foot back, you make a slight adjustment to your stance, you make sure everything's locked out, and then you go through your setup for the first rep. So that needs to be a repeatable process, right? So it's a routine. And so after years of doing this, it's like automatic. So once you get in position, you lock out, and then you go through your checklist that you're gonna do between every single rep, which is, it's different for everybody, but the key things are take a big breath, get your back arched, make sure your elbows are up a little bit, right? Your head's in the right place, abs are tight, right? You're stable, and then you go. And then as you come back up from the next rep and you lock out, all that stuff's gonna loosen up and you have a chance to go through that checklist again. Big breath, chest up, elbows up, head down, go. Every time, it's just all of this needs to be automatic. And this is when you start doing it. So you're in the beginning and you're going to start, you're just a couple workouts into your training career. And the quicker you can get this rhythm and learn these sequences and sort of internalize them, the more efficient your lifts are going to be. So that's correction number 1. Walk it out, lock out, and then like just take a moment. You can stand there all day with this on your back. Was this 215? That's not very heavy, right? So just learn to get comfortable standing there. So every time you get to the top of the rep and you lock out, or you lock out a bench press, you go, okay, I got that rep. I'm good. Now let me focus and retighten everything for the next one. If you just start rushing from one rep to the next, you never get the little break and you never get a chance to retighten things. So it's just going to get sloppier and sloppier because the first rep right might have been good, but then you just kept going and all the shit that loosened up from one rep to the next never got tightened again. Versus if you treat every rep, if you treat your set as 5 individual reps that all get the same attention before you start, that all get that checklist, each rep is going to be much more efficient and you're going to have more energy at the end of the set because you didn't waste it lifting with suboptimal form. Okay? So that's number 1. Walk it out, walk it out and lock it out. I'm going to trademark that. Walk it out and lock it out before you start. So walk it out, and then here is when you want to lock your knees, right? And then get set and calm yourself down for that first rep. All right. Now, second thing is you need to lean over a little faster. So if you look at your back angle on the way down, you're trying to stay too vertical on the way down. Very common in the beginning, but what you need to be thinking about is, so if you watch your back angle and then as you go down, as you get closer to the bottom, you lean over more. You want to do the opposite of that. So the first half of the descent, you need to lean over and shove your knees out. Get your knees into position, which is forward and out. Not just out, but forward and out. So by the time that you're at the halfway point, which for you is going to be, let's say here, okay, your knees are as forward and out as they're ever going to be, and you are as leaned over as you're ever going to be by halfway down, right? By like right away. So you need to think about from the top, I'm going to touch my nipples to the rubber. So my nipples are going to touch that mat like right away. I'm just going to lean over, and in order to touch my nipples, or you can think about touching your belly button in between your toes right here. So in order for you to staple your belly button down on the floor right here, what's going to happen? You're going to have to make some room by shoving your knees out of the way. If you just keep your knees here and try and put your belly is going to smash into your thighs. So right from the top, you're thinking lean over and knees forward and out. Okay? So you need to set that angle a lot sooner, which means, and it's going to feel like you're leaning over way too much. That's okay. Just lean over right away and shove your knees out. And then that's done. Your knees are set and your back angle's set. So all you have to do from that point on is just maintain that back angle all the way up, all the way down, and all the way up to the point that you set it in the first place, like the halfway point, and then you start lifting your chest. Okay? So that's the idea, is you want to get the knees set and the back angle set and then just keep them and focus on other stuff like driving your butt up. All right? So that's first thing. Lean over faster, and let's watch your knees here. So the knees are, they're here and they need to come out more. So your toe, it's kind of hard to tell here, but your toe angle looks pretty good. It just looks like your knees going this way and your toes kind of going out a little more. So I want your knee and toe lined up and out, which means that you need to push your knees out harder. So if you're looking down here, you can see your knees out of your peripheral vision. At the bottom, they need to be out as wide as they're ever going to be. Okay, and really by the halfway point, you want them forward over the toes. So you want them here and you want them out. Okay, so lean over right away and shove your knees forward and out harder. Like really hard. Like if I could come over to you and put my hand right here and pull your knees out 3 inches, which I know I could do, you didn't shove them out hard enough. If I walked over to you and I couldn't move your knees out more, then you did that. And I promise you, I could pull your knees open more. So people don't understand what it means to shove your knees out until you kind of show them the stretch. So that's the second thing. Okay, let's keep going here. Depth is pretty good here. Hip drive looks good. Let's watch a couple. So lean over faster. Good hip drive on that one, man. Like you're leading with your butt. Knees are soft at the top of every rep. No hip drive, no hip drive. Yeah, so your hip drive on that one is getting a little quiet. Notice how out of the bottom, your hips and your shoulders are moving up at the exact same time, right? I want to see this move up first, followed by this. So it's butt, and then this catches up, and you maintain that back angle all the way up. So, you know, you're thinking about a million things. It's getting hard. You're losing your focus on your hip drive, but just know hips are where the power is. So know that as you get tired, you stop driving your hips up as much and try and overcompensate. Be like, okay, this is rep 3. This is where I usually stop. Hip driving is hard. I'm going to try and hip drive even more. And that way, okay, in rep 4, same thing. Okay. So just pay more you know how to do it. You just have to pay more attention to it. And that one was even better, although you cut the depth off a little high. Okay. So overall, huge improvement. Once you set that back angle sooner and get the knees out harder, this is all gonna kind of come together. So those are the things I want you to work on next time. Okay, you did a great job. This is a huge improvement, like I said, over the last time. Now we got to get you to lean over faster, and we got to get you to get your knees out harder. Now be aware that when you emphasize that hip drive, there may be a tendency, if you let it, to shift onto your toes. That should not happen. Weight has to stay over the middle of the foot, okay? So you're driving your butt straight up, not forward and up, okay? And not back and up, which isn't your problem yet. That may come later. But if you notice that when you push up on one rep, all your weight shifts to your toes, you push forward and up. So you have to pay attention to that balance on your foot, right? Heels and toes, where that pressure is across the surface of your foot. It should be even the entire time. If you notice it's on your toes or you notice it's on your heels, it's wrong. Okay. And then, so what you got to do when you come to the top and you lock out and you have time to reset is think, hey, that rep I got on my toes. So I'm going to try and keep my weight back a little bit more on my heels as I push up, and then see what that feels like. Okay. Excellent work, man. And go work on those two things, get leaned over faster, and then post another video and we'll keep dialing in. But this is like 10 out of 10, man. Great job addressing all the things I talked about last time. So that's not always the case. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So 215 felt a little heavier. You asked about weight. So here's the deal. It's just, when that last rep starts to get grindy and you're not sure you're going to make it, I would go down to 5-pound jumps. In your case, we're working on the form here. So I might slow it down a little bit anyway. I might actually repeat 215 next time and try and address those things before you start piling weight on, just to make sure you have it perfect. And then if you got it, maybe go up 5 pounds and keep going. And then once you get that form down, it should start to feel light. So once you fix the technique, you might notice that all of a sudden everything's feeling easier, right? Like this doesn't even feel hard anymore. Like 225 feels a lot easier than like 185 did back when you were doing it then. So in that case, once you have the form and it starts to feel light, you can make a couple 10-pound jumps to catch up. And then once it starts to get grindy, and you don't think, you're not sure you're going to make the last rep, then just switch to 5-pound jump. So anytime really, but I would dial in the form with more conservative jumps, and then you'll know when you get it locked in, because all of a sudden the weights will start flying. And then you can make 1 or 2 10-pound jumps to kind of catch up and then go back to 5s. But there's no real exact time to do it. You're going to end up in the same place anyway. So just always be conservative. And, if you got to 195 with 10-pound jumps or 215 with 10-pound jumps, that's great. All right, good. So hopefully I addressed everything, and we will continue on. Thank you very much. Okay. Life tomato. Okay, I've been recovering from a back tweak, which occurred in March, April, May, June, July. Okay. Feeling better right now after a dose of prednisone. Hopefully this pain-free feeling lasts. We'll see. Your last form check mentioned my back angle was too upright. I also struggled with keeping my knees out. I have followed your advice on knees out cue, but those friggin' things won't stay put. Here's light squats at 175. I'm really hoping to add significant weight to the bar over the next 6 months. Thanks for everything you do. Okay, let's take a look. All right, I'll be right here. Okay. So you two are, okay, this is all, you got one problem here. Your knees are fine here. I mean, this is light for you, but you're lifting your chest too soon every time. Is that what I told you before? Your last form check mentioned my back angle was too upright. Okay, so your back angle's good. You're doing a good job leaning over and setting your back, but you're getting out of your hips too soon. So from here, like I said, we want to see this come up first, followed by your chest. Okay, and I just talked about this with the last guy. So this comes up, like this comes up 2 or 3 degree change in back angle. So when I'm diagnosing a squat or coaching it, I'm looking at the hips, okay? And what I should see is on the way down, you set the back angle and you keep it. And then as you hit the bottom, the first thing that moves is your butt comes up. That shows me you initiated the drive up with your hips. And what that will result in is a very subtle change in back angle, more horizontally, 2 or 3 degrees, right? Momentarily. In other words, you're going to lean over a little bit more as your hips lead you out. And then that back angle is going to reestablish itself. And so after the first couple inches up, then this angle stays consistent all the way till you're near the top. And then you stand up. Okay. So I want to see butt first. And then I want to see a period of a couple inches where the hips and shoulders just move up perfectly even. And then when you get to about the halfway point up, then you can start lifting your chest. And in your case, I think I'm going to see the hips move first. Okay, a little bit. But your error is that as soon as you do this and come up, you start lift. As soon as you're done pushing your butt up and you start to stick, because that middle section is the sticking point, right? So after you get the stretch reflex and the bounce and your butt bounces up and you drive your hips and that carries you up 2 or 3 inches, then you get into no man's land, right? That middle part is where it gets hard. That's because the stretch reflex has contributed all the help it's going to contribute. And now you got to work to get through that sticking point and to get to the top. And in your case, and a lot of guys do this, is as soon as they get the bounce and they get the hip drive, and then as soon as they start to feel the weight, they're like, oh, guess it's time to just stand up. No, you got to drive through that middle section. Okay. So if we think about, here's the bottom, right? So we're here. And so for the first couple inches, we're going to drive the hips up. And then that's going to be, and then this segment right here, this is where we're doing hip drive. You're not lifting your chest. You're staying here and just driving that back angle, hips and shoulders evenly through that sticking point. And then when you get up, so let me see if I can do this. So there's the hip drive. And now you see your back angle here has already become more horizontal. If you compare that to this back angle right here, and then we go here, you're starting to lift your chest too soon. So you should not, this is the point right here where you should be lifting your chest, right? Here, hips, 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 and then right about there. That might be a little high. But this point in the squat, at this height, is where you should be thinking about standing up. But you're feeling that weight, that struggle, and you're just like, oh, time to stand up. So, and you'll notice that what the hell is this? You'll notice that okay, let's go back. And you'll notice your head's moving too. Okay, so if we watch, keep an eye on your head. Okay, see how it's like, it's beautiful right now. Nice straight back angle, eyes are down here, right? Your neck is flat, but watch this area right here as you start to drive up. You're gonna see your head kick back. There it goes. Now I can see more, right? Now I can see more of your head. When you lift your head, you lift your chest. So let's look at when you're lifting your head. There. You're like, the moment you start driving up, you start throwing your head back. And your chest, it's all part of the kinetic chain. Once you lift your head, your chest is going to move up with it. So this head position that you have on the way down, this beautiful head down position right here, you can kind of see your face poking right there, where the head is just looking down. You're like looking right here. All you have to think about is keeping your head down, not lifting it, which is hard. It's harder for some than others. But if you imagine you're holding a baseball or an orange under your chin, right? And if you lift it on the way up, it's going to fall. Don't do that. But if you keep that head down and you focus on driving your hips and your shoulders up at the same time, in other words, not shoulders first. So here you're thinking about this and this moving perfectly evenly on the way up. Okay? Like this. Not hips and then stand up. It's hips, lock it in, and then stand up. So you're leaning over better, okay? Stay leaned over longer on the way up. So you got to lean over right away and stay leaned over as long as you can on the way up. The moment you start lifting your head and your chest, you're going to kill your hip drive. And if you're trying to put on a bunch of weight on this bar in the next 6 months, that's going to kill your gains because you're losing power there. So feeling the difficult middle sticking section of the ascent is not your cue that you're done driving your butt. You drive your hips as long as you can. And then when you get to the point that you're going to fall over, if you don't stand up, that's when you stand up, if that makes sense. Okay, the rest of it looks good. I'm curious about what happened with this back tweak. If you're getting prednisone, months after the back tweak, I'm wondering what's going on there. We should talk about back tweaks. Maybe I'll do that in a video. But that's your issue, man. The rest of it is great. Like, these look solid. I think you were the guy I was telling was like very methodical, and so that's paying off now. Like, everything. I know that I know you're a little OCD because you taped your mats. I could tell by your form for sure that you're like very detail oriented and meticulous, and you overthink things, which is good and bad. But I know just from the fact that you couldn't deal with the seam between your mats that you have a little OCD going on. I respect that. Your gym is beautiful. It's clean. I'm sure this shit probably drives you crazy. But you're like, okay, like, this is my area right here. Nobody mess with this. This chaos over here, I'm just gonna give up on because I'm never gonna fix that. But your thing is like perfect. You even shimmed your squat rack here. All right, I like it, man. I like it. But it can bite you in the ass, right? You can overthink things, right? I'm sure someone's probably told you that you overthink things. And I'm guessing here, I could be totally wrong. So take this for what it's worth. But that's gonna, we don't want to let perfect be the enemy of good. Okay. So if something is like a little off, you might be the type of guy that's like, oh, I can't put weight on the bar. I got to take weight off. I got to reset. I got to go back down until I get this perfectly. And then I can add weight to the bar. And some things correct themselves as you add weight. Some little issues, like if it's good enough and you keep adding weight, the additional weight will help you figure it out. Not always, But this happened to me with my deadlift where like I had a horrible time setting my back, and I just was like, I would get up to 405 and my back would round. So I'd go back to 315 and I'd work back up and I'd get to 405 and my back would round. And one day I just said, you know what? I'm either going to pull 405 like for the rest of my life, or I'm just going to keep going and maybe pull 500 with a round back. And the process of dealing with that weight above 405 is where I learned to set my back much better. I'm still not great at it, but I got it much better than I was messing around in the 300s. That doesn't always happen, but you got to get more weight on the bar, man. And a lot of times, and in your case, like this weight, like 175, you could squat 175 wrong all day. But if I put 315 on there, you got a hip drive and you got to stay in your hips longer. So all this stuff I'm trying to correct with lightweight, if you had to wrestle with heavy weight, like really heavy weight, where you really notice the difference between driving your butt up and lifting your chest, where you're like, okay, that rep was like super easy because I guess I stayed leading over longer, and man, that rep just smoked me because I lifted my head and I lifted my chest. When you can contrast those within a set with heavy, like where it's very noticeable, that's sometimes the best teacher. So don't limit yourself unnecessarily. If the rep is good enough, if it's pretty close, go up and weight. If it's falling apart and your knees are caving in and your balance is all jacked up, like if you got a big problem, fine. Take some weight off the bar, go back and fix it. But if it's okay, if it's decent, get some more weight on that bar. Like you should be, with your form and your build, you should be squatting 405 for 5, no problem. Like no problem. I mean, you might have to gain 10 pounds, but like it's you've got the mechanics and the body awareness to make that happen. If you haven't done that, it's because you're in your own way in your head, and you're constantly resetting yourself, trying to make every little thing perfect before you go up, and it's gonna bite you in the ass, and you're just gonna be a guy who squats like 315. That's gonna be your limit because you can't get past that mentally. So that's my advice. Like I said, I could be totally wrong about how you are and personality wise, but I have a suspicion that you're one of those guys. So lean over faster, stay leaned over. Sorry, you're doing that. Stay leaned over longer on the way up and keep your chin tucked, and you'll be good to go. Okay. Hope this helps. And let's move on to our final guy. We're coming up on an hour here. Okay. Long shot. Okay, let's try this again. First 4 squats at 125 kilos. 5th one bumped the safety bar and threw my balance off. No one ever needs to see that. Well, we're going to see it, unless you cut it out. Feel free to tear me to shreds. Apparently, it's the only way I learned. Just got back from my trip as expected. Couple of kilos heavier. Planning on a cut from my current weight, 237 down to 215, to see if that gets rid of my damn gut using the RSS Intermediate B. Per your advice, time to work. All right, let's take a look, man. Okay. Before we do anything, I mean, I guess you're trying to get rid of your gut, but I would highly recommend getting a real powerlifting belt. This is like a soft probably Velcro. But a guy like you, like, I mean, anybody really, like you need a real belt, like a leather belt, 10 millimeter, 13 millimeter. I like 13 millimeter for squats. It's thick, feels like a tire. But you're just going to get way better support with a proper powerlifting belt. So highly recommend that if it's in the budget. You've got the shoes, the belt's the next thing. Okay, let's take a look at your squat. So stance looks great, grip looks good, bar looks maybe a little high. Let's see. Yeah, it's a little high. So the reason I know the bar's a little too high on your back is because it rolled up. So if you put the bar, this is the trick. If you've got the bar in the right place, then it'll stay there for the most part. When you're done with your set of 5, it should be exactly in the same place. If it rolled up on your neck at any point during the squat, you had it too high. And if it scooted down, which is less common, you had it too low. So the fact that on rep 1, that bar rolled up on your neck tells me that you've got a little too high here. So you're up here with it, right? Like that. And I want it like down here a little bit. So maybe just like an inch lower. So just see if you can shove it down. Like when you do it, there's like a little divot that you'll feel. And it's right below the spine of your scapula. So you can reach across right here. You can feel it. When you come back, it goes, there's a shelf, and you'll know when you get it in there. So that's the second thing I would say. Belt and get the bar about an inch lower. So see, now it's like up on your traps a little bit more. Oop, pausing. Okay. So I'm going to watch these and just take it all in. Head position's great. You're not lifting your chin, which is awesome. Hip drive's good. You racking this or you did you cut it out? All right. You're definitely leaning over. You're definitely driving your butt up. Like very good hip drive. Like great hip drive. Good example. Okay. So, I wanted to see that one. Okay. The main thing is that you are, like, you got the basics down, and once you get that bar a little bit lower on your back, you may need to widen your grip a little bit to get some room, but it does need to come down a little bit lower. So let me watch how you unrack this. So you get under it. Yeah, see, oh wait, do you roll it down after that? Oh yeah, you got this real high on your back. Okay, this is good. I can pause this here. Okay, so you're putting the bar way up here, and I want it down here across this, like, it's kind of hard to see. If you really zoom in, you'll see right here, there's a gap between the barbell and your shoulder, and you're gonna have to zoom in on that. I don't think I can do it anymore. Let me see. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so this little gap right here between here and here, I shouldn't see that, okay? Because all the weight's being supported up here on your traps. And really, this little divot in here is where the bar should sit. So the bar should be just like 1 inch lower than it is, okay? So that's the ticket right there. That little gap right here should be gone because the bar should be sitting there, okay? So just shove it down on your back. Oops, how do I get out of this? There we go. Okay, so just jack it down on your back another inch, all right? And it's gonna hurt, but whatever, you can deal with it. Yeah, this is like way high. You're leaning over a lot for how high you have it, so good for you. But this is gonna get a lot easier. You jack it down there, okay? Down, see, you can kind of see that divot I'm talking about, right? Between my trap and my shoulder, like there's a little dent right here. That's where I want the bar to sit. And then when you get under it, before you take it out, get under it, get it down there, right? Make sure that the weight of the bar is not in the center. It should be supported here and here, really. That's where you should feel it. On the posterior deltoids, not so much like all of it's right in the middle of your back, okay? So that's how you'll know. Get under it, and then before you take it out and load yourself, take a big breath, right? Chest up, and then with the chest up, elbows up, and they'll only move up like an inch. They're not, if your chest is arched up, you'll only be able to lift your elbows like a tiny bit, and that just tightens that whole thing, gets it off the bone into this nice meaty shelf, okay? If you jack your elbows up and let your chest collapse, it's gonna roll up on your neck. So chest up first, and then elbows up. Chest up, elbows up, and then stand up. So you get under it, you get it in position, right? The weight's still sitting in the hooks. You get all tight, locked in there, chest up, elbows up, stand up. And then 1 step back, 2 steps back, adjust, and then reset. Get ready for the rep, okay? That's how you take it out of the rack. You do all the positioning before, it's on your back. And then you just have to make minor adjustments in between because you put it in the right place. All right, so we covered that. Now, the main issue here with your squat is just the pause. You're just going down to the bottom. You're fishing around. Am I at depth? Is this depth? Did I hit depth? Here it is, pause, and then you come up. So that's just what we got to fix. Your depth is good, okay? You know where depth is, but you're actually hitting depth and then trying to go a little deeper. See? So for you, I'll see if I can mark it. That first little pause that you do, that first time you stop and hesitate, that's perfect depth. And then you kind of think you should go a little bit deeper. You don't have to. See how you're hitting depth and then you're like wiggling around to try and get even deeper? No way. Like you know where depth is, okay? So the only thing you need to fix aside from the bar position is that is not a pause and come back up. We're not doing pause squats, okay? That is a dynamic bounce. It's a spring. It's a stretch reflex. You lean over, you shove your knees out, you stretch out your adductor muscles like you're pulling back on a slingshot. As you hit the bottom, those muscles hit their max tightness and you're rebounding off that and you're using that stretch and rebound to rocket you a couple inches up in the ascent. If you go down there and pause, you just kill the bounce, right? If I'm jumping on a trampoline and I just like stop, it's not gonna spring me back up. So that you just have to think about a bounce. Your butt goes down and bounces back up. So, and your cue is you just trust where the bottom is. Like, you know where depth is. You're trying to go deeper than you need to. So it just needs to be a bounce. Boing. That's really it, man. And so what you can practice, just to get the feel for like the sensation of what you're looking for is, if you go to hornstrength.com/videos and you go down to the bounced pause squat. Okay. So this is a video. It's on my website. In this case, you're going to take the bar and there's instructions, like full instructions down here in the description that you can read, but you're going to go down to the bottom and you're going to pause and then you're going to bounce your butt a couple times and the idea, and then catch the last bounce. So you take it down, pause, bounce, 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 and then catch the bounce and drive up. And the purpose of that drill, and you do that with the empty bar and you do it with like your first set with weight. Don't go heavy with it. Just, heavy enough that it gives you something to resist against. Okay. And that will show you the sensation of what it's supposed to feel like. So when you warm up, just do a couple sets of bounce pause squats with like, I don't know, what do you got on here? 120. So maybe like, 60 kilos or something like that. Bounce, 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 and then catch the last one and rock it up. And then stop doing the bounce for the rest of your warm-ups. Stop doing the pause and just try and recreate that sensation. It's not down and pause. It's down and spring back up. And you'll feel it, right? You'll feel the speed out of the bottom, which is what you want. Everything else looks good. Really great sets. Don't really need to rip you apart about anything other than moving the bar down lower. And like I said, you might need to widen your grip to get that extra inch. No big deal. You can tighten it up later and working on that rebound. Okay. Awesome work, man. Looks good. You said something about diet, right? Planning to cut from 237 to down to 215 and see if that gets rid of this damn gut. Yeah. So let's see. What do we think? I don't know. Maybe 30% body fat, something like that. 28, 30, I'm guessing here. Yeah, so if you're 237 and let's say you're 30% body fat right now, then let me see, I have a little calculator for this. So what would that be if you lost 237 minus 15 would be 222. So you'd end up like 29% body fat. So I'll show you what I'm looking at. This is a little calculator I use. that I did a bunch of things with. So if you're 237 at 30% body fat, and you lost 15 pounds, you'd be 222 at 29% body fat. If your goal was to get to 15% body fat, looks like you would have to end up weighing 195 pounds. So you'd have to lose like 42 pounds. So yeah, what if we went down to 20% body fat? You weigh 207. Okay. So yeah, you know, you can definitely, I mean, you're a sturdy guy and, you know, you may be 25 to 28, something like that. But you will definitely be able to continue increasing your strength while you cut down a little bit. So just, you know, follow the book and start cutting the calories a little bit and reducing your body fat, and you'll probably still be able to put weight on the bar, and you'll be good. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. So keep us posted, work on that stuff, put up another video next week, or get that bar lower. That's going to change everything. And we will take another look. So thank you guys all. I think we did it. Thank you all for posting an hour and 10 minutes. All right. This week, and let me make sure I got everything. Yep, we did it. Awesome, guys. I will see you online. Hit me with any questions, comments, things you need to know about, and we will do this all again in a week. Until then, have a good week.